Pokemon Red versus Pokemon Blue. Which one is the better game? Actually, it's very simple. Pokemon Red destroys Blue on so many levels. It's not even close. And this is where the game itself fails. Well, I should say specifically the separation and having two different versions, so-called different versions of the game. Basically, it was just a gimmick. It stemmed all the way from the mid-90s when the original Pokemon Red and Green came out in Japan. And so it was two different separate versions. And Nintendo figured that, hey, we'll have two separate games so that we'll have different Pokemon exclusive to each game so that they will have to buy or at least have contact with each particular cartridge. Each version will have to sell if people want the entire collection. It basically placated and catered to the people that are so into collecting stuff, collecting monsters, characters. You gotta catch them all, and that was the big gimmick. It was a big marketing decision to make a lot of money and sell a lot of units. But the problem was that it's not even close. Pokemon Blue is far inferior and sucked monkey nipples compared to Pokemon Red. Pokemon Red's exclusive characters, exclusive Pokemon are so much better than Pokemon Blue. You'll just shake your head why they even chose to do this. And unfortunately, if you're a kid like me that grew up with Pokemon Blue instead of Red, you understood exactly why Pokemon Blue sucks compared to Pokemon Red. First of all, let's talk about all the exclusives. Red has Ekans, Arbok, Oddish, Gloom, Vileplume, Mankey, Primeape, Growlithe, Arcanine, Scyther, Electabuzz. Pretty good collection of different types and cool exclusives. I mean, Ekans is a snake, but then he turns into Arbok, which is a pretty cool snake Pokemon, and you can find Arbok with the Elite Four. I think Agatha uses an Arbok, so that sort of establishes how cool and unique Arbok is, you know. It's a Cobra Pokemon, and snakes are cool. Oddish, Gloom, Vileplume. Okay, might not be the coolest Pokemon, but it's certainly unique looking, and Vileplume is pretty strong in terms of stats. Mankey and Primeape, the two primate, monkey type of Pokemon in first generation. I mean, Primeape is a fairly unique Pokemon because he's a fighting type, and there's very little of them in the first place. You hardly had any. I mean, maybe you could count all of them in a single hand if you think about it. I mean, you got Poliwrath, who is a dual type, fighting in water. You could get that in both versions. Let's see, Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee, you can only get one if you're playing on a single cartridge on both versions, so you can only get one out of Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. So that's two fighting types. And Machop and Machoke. That's four. And then if you're lucky enough to trade with somebody, Machamp. So 4 in-game fighting types for the blue version, right? Only 4 that you can find in a single run, in a single file of a game that you made in the blue, and then you actually get at least 5 in the red version with, well, not even 5, 6. Mankey and Primeape are also available. So, red is just superior. Growlithe and Arcanine, I mean, do I have to even expand why Arcanine is so cool? Arcanine is just very cool Pokemon. I mean, very, very strong. Strong stat-wise, attack-wise, very powerful. Pretty good speed, pretty good health. You know, Arcanine is just a beast. It's a fire type of Pokemon, and it's just really strong. And it looks cool, and it can learn Dragon Rage. I mean, what else do you need with Arcanine? I mean, he's far cooler than anything you can find in blue as far as fire types. Scyther, of course, a very cool bug Pokemon, probably the coolest in the entire game. Electabuzz, another pretty cool electric type. The blue version has Sandshrew, Sandslash, Meowth, Persian, Bellsprout, Weepinbell, Victreebel, Vulpix, Ninetales, Pinsir, and Magmar. Yeah, they're not bad. These are not bad choices, but they're just weaker. They're not as cool. They're not as interesting. I mean, Persian and Meowth, they're very weak stat-wise, and like Meowth is like this talking cat in the show, but he still sucks. And Persian is not very interesting. Sandslash is pretty cool, but he's just Pikachu that can dig in the ground, you know? It's like a ground-type Pikachu. Victreebel is pretty cool, I will admit. I think Victreebel is maybe slightly cooler than Vileplume in terms of design, but he's actually stat-wise weaker. He's not as strong as a Vileplume. Ninetales and Vulpix, I mean, this is like a fox Pokemon that's only really cool if you like foxes or if you're a girl. Let's face it, this is a girly Pokemon. It looks too, like, yeah, frilly and then Pinsir and Magmar, which are not bad. I like Pinsir actually, and Magmar is not too bad, but they're just not interesting. Not as interesting as Scyther and Electabuzz. So, I mean, Pokemon Blue owners got screwed. Red was far better. That's why Red was always sold out compared to Blue. And that's why poor kids that were fucking cheaped out, or they fucking didn't get the best version, they got Blue instead, and Blue was, you know, the inferior copy, so fuck Blue. And fuck Nintendo for having two versions. It should have been just one. Yeah, just one, or at least, you know, the exclusives should have been, like, divided, you know, like you could have had one cool one for the other one and one cool one that you can only find for Blue. You know, maybe, well, I don't even know, let's say, I'm trying to think right in the spots. Okay, God, who was a good one? Like Taurus, you know, let's say Taurus was an exclusive for Blue, you know, and Snorlax. That would have been interesting.